In this video, we're going to be making Megaman's teleport animation. So let's take a look at the game. And if we step through that frame by frame, so that's what we're going to be doing in this video. So to start with, I want to make a couple changes to what we've done so far. First is going to be in the player controller. One of the other videos I ended up moving all the get component stuff into the awake function. I'm going to do that also with the player controller. So let's get rid of that. And then we're going to move this into there. And so that's the first thing we're going to do. The second thing is in the original player sprite sheet that I was using, all the outlines were like a dark blue. Well, I decided I changed into black because the second sheet that we're going to be using that has a teleport in it is black. So we're going to keep it consistent. So I took the original sheet and just changed all the outlines to black. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that, go into your project folder in the graphics, and you're just going to overwrite the existing sheet. So after you overwrite it, if you go back and you look in here, now he's got the black outline. You don't have to mess with changing anything with the sprite or anything like that. You're just going to overwrite the existing PNG file and it'll just update the picture. So that's what we're going to be doing with that. So now the change that we're going to make for this is actually a pretty simple animation, even though it doesn't make it might not look like it, but it really is. It's kind of like a three-phase kind of thing. He's teleporting, he lands, and he switches to idle. So it's really a three-state thing. So let's get this out of the way. So what we're going to do is first is if you don't have it, which you probably don't because you're watching the video, go over to my GitHub. The URL's in the description. Go download the player2 PNG from the graphics folder. So we're going to import that into the graphics because that has our teleport animations in it. And let's see, it's called player2.png. So we're going to import that. And there's the settings. You're going to switch it over to multiple, point no filter, no compression, apply it, and then open up the sprite editor. So what we're interested in is this sprite here, this one, and this one here. Now, probably technically this one, as the last one is the idle, but I decided I want to use this one so it's like a little bit where his leg is in, and then when he switches to actually idle, his leg goes out. So it's kind of like he's like gaining his balance. So we're going to cut these out first. And you're going to set all the pivots down to the bottom center. And we're just going to call them teleport 1 through 4. There's only 4 frames. So we're going to apply that. Go in there, get the second one. Teleport 2. Get the third one. And then the last one, which is this one. There. Okay, so those are our frames that we're going to use. So let's close that out. So what we need to do is go over into, well, let's create the animations first. So go to your animations player folder and create a new animation. We're going to call it player teleport. And if you double click it, we're not going to set loop time because it's a straight through animation. There's no looping involved. So double click on the player animator controller, go back to project, highlight the teleport, back to animator, right click, and then do that select from clip to add it into the controller. And then go over and select your player and choose teleport. All right, so this is going to be 30 frames a second. And then go over to your graphics and expand player 2 for our 4. We're going to drag all 4 of those in to there, into the animation. And then we're going to expand that. And we're going to reorder these. So this is going to come out to the 4th marker. This is going to go over there because we're going to bring that to actually the 2nd marker. This will be the 3rd marker. And bring in this ones because it happens after this mushroom effect. He goes back to this long, I don't know, this long looking image, and then back to his stand. So these are the 5 frames of this animation. So then we're going to click on add property. I'm going to go to the box collider, and then we're going to add in offset, and we're also going to add in the size. And box collider size. Now I've already computed these values, so we're not going to use the box collider and edit it and drag things around. We're just going to punch the values in. So on the first frame here, we're going to basically set, so it's going to be 0. Well, actually, I'll do this just to make sure that it does change the value and change it back, and 0.015, and then 0.01, 0.01. So that's for the size. And then over to the second one. Now let's go change it to 1, back to 0. So the first 4 frames are going to be all the same values. So we do this real quick. We're going to go to that one. And the last 4th frame, change that to 1, back to 0. So it takes 0.01. Okay, let's make sure. Yeah. Now on this last one though, what we're going to use is 0.005, 0.12, 0.17, and 0.22 for this last one. And then this 5th one, with all this, you can delete those keys. So now if we bring this over here, we're going to go take a look at what we've done. So you can switch it over back to the first one. So this is our box down here. You can't really see it, but it's like this little green square right there. And if we switch to the second one, it's like right above the black outline. And this one, that one, and then the last one's basically, where did it go? Basically covers his entire ground. And the reason we use the small ones, we really don't need to, we just need something big enough to check for collision with the ground. We don't need to cover his whole area. So, all right, so let's move that out of the way. So that is set. So now we're going to do some code. So go over to your scripts and open up the PlayerController. Okay, so back in the PlayerController, excuse me, we're going to add in a new bool called isTeleporting. This is a flag to know if we're teleporting or not. Then we're going to do our teleport speed. So we're going to add a serialized field of float. Now there might be a point where I'm going to change all these serialized fields to publics, but not yet, because this is an evolution. I don't actually have a final product yet, so there's going to be some things I might go back and forth and change, like I did with the enemy controller. So teleport speed, and it's going to be -10. So basically negative is going to force him to go down, where positive is going up on the Y. So this is going to basically shoot him down really fast. And then we need the sound clip for when he hits the ground from the teleport. And then we're going to do the states. So we're going to create a public enum teleport state And first one's going to be called descending because he's descending from the up. He's going from top down when he lands and when he goes idle. So these are his three states for the teleport. And then we're going to create a serialized of the teleport state. We're just going to call it teleport state, small t. Okay. So then we're going to, let's see, we're going to go into the update function. So above taking damage, we're going to check if we're teleporting. Is teleporting. And make sure you put this return, otherwise you're going to have a lot of head scratching why it doesn't work right. Because while he's teleporting, you need to stay within this block of code. Otherwise, it's going to run through, come down here, and it's not going to run right. So just make sure you put that return in there. So then we're going to switch on our state. And we have our three cases. We're just going to copy these and just rename them. So 2. So that's going to be the landed one. And this one's going to be the idle one. Okay, so inside of descending, we're going to set is jumping to false. And we know is jumping basically triggers our landing sound when we're jumping, and when we land on the ground, it plays a sound. Well, we want to make sure that that sound doesn't play, so we're going to force this to always be false while we're doing the teleport. So then we're going to check if we're grounded, which means that we're teleporting down, we touch the ground. Then we're going to change our state. So our teleport state is going to be equal to landed. So we've landed, we've touched the ground. So now when we're in the ground, we're going to change our animator speed, and you'll see why we're doing this in a little bit. We're going to change our animator speed back to 1. And then in the idle, we're going to call a function that we haven't defined yet called teleport. Get rid of that. And which we're going to define next. So we're going to go down after freeze player. And where is that? Freeze player. So after freeze player, we're going to create a public void called teleport. And it's going to have a parameter called teleport, which is a bool. Then we need a function. We're going to call it teleport animation sound. This is going to be called from inside of our animation. So to play the sound when we touch the ground. And then we need another one called teleport animation end, which basically means we're done with our teleport animation. We want to go into idle. So that's that. So we're going to just fill these in real quick since they're really small. So the sound one's easy. We're just going to call the sound manager. We're going to play our teleport clip. So it's just going to play the sound when we touch the ground. The animation end is where we're just going to change our state. And so what we're going to do in here is we're going to change our teleport state, and it's going to be switched to idle. So that's it for these two. Now in the actual teleport function, we're going to see if our flag is true or parameter is true, or if it's not true. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to say, are we teleporting? Yes. So we want to set that to true. And then we're going to say freeze player, or freeze input, I mean, because we don't want the player to be able to do anything with the keyboard while we're in the teleport state, because like he's holding left, holding right or whatever, and then the guy's veering off course while he's teleporting. We don't want any keyboard input while we're teleporting. So we're going to turn that off. And then we're going to play our animation, the one we just created, which is called teleport. And then we're going to set our animator speed here to 0. Now the reason we're doing this is because we want to play the first frame, which is that long sliver of blue. So it's going to play that, it's going to set the speed to 0, so it's not going to update. It's just going to stay on that. And what's going to happen is once he comes down, he touches the ground, And when he becomes landed, then we set it back to 1, and then it's going to play the rest of the animation. So that's why we're doing this. So the next thing is we're going to change our state, because this is our initial state. We didn't actually initialize it at the top. We're going to be initializing it here when we call the teleport function. So our state is going to be descending. So we're descending. We're coming down from the top and looking to hit the ground. Then we're going to use our velocity on our rigid body. We're going to update that. So vector 2, we're going to use the existing x velocity, but we're going to use our teleport speed on the y to have them dart down from the top with -10. Now you could play around with the value if you'd like, but I found -10 is pretty good. So you can mess around with that. In the inspector we serialized it, so you can do what you want with that. And so then we're going to come down to here, and then we're going to say, obviously we set it to false, so is teleporting is false. And then we're going to unfreeze the input. So now we should be idle, teleports over, so we want to be able to use the keyboard again. So that's going to be false. So this is our teleport function. So these three all work together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back over to Unity. And I always keep forgetting to do this stuff, so we're not going to forget to do it this time. So we're going to set the sound clip. So if you go over to Audio and Sounds, the teleport sound is actually number 4, where it's called Megaman Warp. Let's lock that up there so we don't lose it. So we're going to drag Megaman Warp into the teleport clip spot there. And then we're going to go over to the animations that we created and go to the teleport one. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple of events. So the first event we're going to put on the first frame here. And then the last one we're going to put on this 5th frame there, right after it's right after he switches to a standing image. So we're going to drop that there. So on this one, we're going to use the animation sound, because basically when he comes down and he collides with the ground, he's going to switch this, and we want to play that landing sound. So that's going to be teleport animation sound on that one. And on this one, we're going to switch it over to the end, which basically means teleporting is over. So animation end. So let's save all that. And if we were to try this out, let's just bring this over real quick. Let's shrink this down. And what we're going to do actually is with the player, we're going to move him up out of this camera view or when he starts. And let's just play it real quick. It's not actually going to work yet. So actually, let me stop that. Well, we want to do one more thing over in the code. Go into the debug. We want to tie that to a key just so we can try it out. And that is in player debug input. So down here at the end, after that, we're going to say T for teleport. And then so if input dot get key down key code dot T. So when we press T, we want to say teleport is true. And we'll just put a little debug log line there. Let's just copy this, because this is all we want to put in. Come on. So we're going to copy that, and we're just going to drop that there. That shows up on the console. So now let's go back over there and try it out real quick. So play it. I turned off the music because it's actually, you know what? I forgot, that is one more thing. Okay, go over to the game manager. If you don't have it open, get to it from the scripts folder. Let's disable the spawn enemies line so that they don't spawn right now. And since we're in here, let's just do this part anyway. We'll just get this over with. So after freeze bullets, we're going to create a new function here. So this is going to be a private void. And it's going to be called teleport player with another parameter called teleport. And then we're going to create a game object called player. And then we're going to find that game object. With the tag, we're looking for the player that's in the scene. And then it's not equal to null, which means we found it. So then we're going to say player get component. And then we're going to call our teleport function. That's why we made it public. And then we're going to use the value of that parameter right here. So let's save that. And then what we're going to do is up here in our game loop, right after that ready screen thing is done, after the freeze part here, we're going to drop on our teleport player function that we created. And then we're going to say true. We want them to teleport. So now if we save that, let's go back over to Unity. And let's play it. So now he should basically teleport down. And there it is. So if we do that one more time, let's pause it and step through it so we can check it. Go. Come on. Do it too soon. Oh, there he is. Okay. So collides with the ground, turns into a mushroom, turns into the sliver, and then he goes in that 1 foot a little bit back, and then he steps forward. So there's our teleport animation. So if we play it again, let it run through its normal speed. And there it is. So that's basically how we create the teleport animation. So what we'll do is we can just move this out of the way real quick. We'll put the audio back up on the music. I think I had it 75. And then we'll go and enable the enemies again. So you can save that. And so we should teleport in, and then the enemy should show up and start trying to attack. And there it is. So that's how we do the teleport animation. So if you have any questions, leave some comments. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Source code is going to be available on Git as soon as I upload it. And have a good day. Thanks.